The year is 2024. We live in a world seemingly on the brink. Images flash across our screens, burning cities, violent clashes, cries for justice, and pleas for peace. The fabric of society stretched thin by inequality, injustice, and fear threatens to unravel before our very eyes. But are these the death throes of an old world or the birth pangs of a new one? To understand the riots, the unrest, the global yearning for change, we must first delve into the root causes. Police brutality, a stark example of institutionalized violence, is a festering wound on the soul of humanity. Each instance of police brutality, often captured on video for the world to see, chips away at the fragile peace. The names of the victims, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, countless others, become rallying cries for justice. The anger, the frustration, the sense of helplessness boil over, spilling onto the streets in the form of protests and at times riots. Police brutality is not merely the act of a few bad apples. The blue wall of silence, a code among officers, allows brutality to flourish in the shadows. Fear of retribution prevents officers from speaking out, perpetuating a cycle of violence and impunity. Until we dismantle the systems that allow such behavior to persist, the cycle of violence will continue. While the United States often takes center stage in the conversation about police brutality, it is a global issue. From the favelas of Brazil to the streets of Paris, marginalized communities bear the brunt of police violence. The rise of social media has been instrumental in exposing these injustices to a global audience. Videos captured on cell phones have shattered the blue wall of silence, forcing the world to confront the uncomfortable reality of police brutality. The fight for justice, for accountability, for a world free from police brutality transcends borders and cultures. The consequences of police brutality extend far beyond the immediate victims and their families. It creates a ripple effect, sowing seeds of mistrust and anger that can erupt into wider unrest and violence. Riots, while often condemned as senseless violence, are a symptom of a system that has failed to address the root causes of inequality and injustice. The response to riots is often more police presence, more force, further deepening the divide. Breaking this cycle requires a fundamental shift in perspective. Despite the seemingly endless cycle of violence and unrest, a profound transformation is underway. Beneath the surface of chaos, a new world is struggling to be born. Across the globe, a new consciousness is emerging, driven by a deep-seated yearning for justice, equality, and a world free from violence. The old guard, clinging to power through fear and division, is facing unprecedented resistance. The winds of change are blowing, and they cannot be stopped. In this era of unprecedented global interconnectedness, technology is playing a pivotal role in amplifying the voices of peace and justice. Social media has become a powerful tool for organizing, mobilizing, and raising awareness about social injustices. Videos captured on smartphones have brought the horrors of police brutality into our living rooms, forcing us to confront uncomfortable truths. Technology has empowered citizens to hold those in power accountable. The democratization of information is fostering a new era of global citizenship. The world is witnessing a seismic shift in the balance of power. The old guard, those who have long benefited from systems of oppression, are facing a reckoning. Their grip on power is weakening as a new generation rises, demanding change. The fear of losing power and privilege is a powerful motivator, leading to extreme ideologies and violence. However, these desperate attempts to hold back the tide of change are ultimately doomed to fail. The world is in the midst of a profound demographic transformation, reshaping the global balance of power. The white or Caucasian population, once dominant, is now on the decline. This demographic shift is fueling anxieties among some segments of the white population. The changing demographics are challenging traditional notions of national identity. This shift presents an opportunity to create a more just and equitable world. The fear of losing power and privilege is a powerful motivator. As the global demographic shift accelerates, we are witnessing a resurgence of nationalism, xenophobia, and authoritarianism. Political opportunists exploit these anxieties, scapegoating minority groups and immigrants. This toxic brew of fear and resentment has real-world consequences, including the rise of far-right political parties and violence. Confronting the politics of fear and resentment requires addressing economic anxieties, promoting media literacy, and fostering empathy across divides.
The global demographic shift is not merely a change in numbers. It is a fundamental reshaping of the world as we know it. It is an opportunity to move beyond the old paradigms of power rooted in colonialism, exploitation, and division, and to create a more just and equitable world for all.
This new world will be characterized by diversity, not just in terms of race and ethnicity, but also in terms of thought, perspective, and lived experience. Imagine a world where leadership reflects the rich tapestry of humanity, where decision-making processes are informed by a multitude of voices, and where solutions to global challenges are co-created by people from all walks of life.
Imagine a world where cultural exchange is the norm, where borders are porous to ideas and innovation, and where people from different backgrounds come together to celebrate their shared humanity. This vision of a better future is not a utopian dream. It is a tangible possibility within our grasp.
But realizing this potential will require a conscious effort to challenge our own biases, to dismantle systems of oppression, and to embrace the transformative power of diversity. It will require courage, compassion, and a willingness to step outside of our comfort zones.
The global demographic shift presents both challenges and opportunities. It is up to us, the current generation, to navigate this period of profound change with wisdom, compassion, and a commitment to building a better future for generations to come.
The world is being remade, and we have the power to shape it into a more just, equitable, and peaceful place for all. The sunny seaside town of Southport, England, was forever scarred on a seemingly ordinary Monday morning. A dance studio, usually alive with the joyful sounds of children's laughter and music, became the site of unimaginable horror. 3 young girls, B.B. King, Elsie Stankham, and Alice Da Silva Aguirre, lost their lives in a senseless act of violence that shook the community to its core.
The image of those innocent faces, forever frozen in time, became a haunting reminder of the fragility of peace and the ever-present threat of violence that lurks beneath the surface of society. The attack sent shockwaves far beyond the quaint streets of Southport, igniting a global outpouring of grief, anger, and a desperate search for answers.
In the aftermath of the tragedy, as the community struggled to come to terms with the loss of innocence, tensions flared. The far right, always eager to exploit tragedy for their own gain, descended upon Southport, their hateful rhetoric and violent actions further deepening the wounds left by the tragedy.
The rioting, the attacks on the local mosque, were a stark reminder that fear, anger, and prejudice can twist even the most devastating of events into an opportunity for division and hate. The Southport tragedy, while a horrific anomaly in a generally peaceful town, serves as a microcosm of the larger societal forces at play.
It highlights the fragility of peace, the ease with which fear and prejudice can be exploited, and the urgent need for dialogue, understanding, and a commitment to building a more inclusive and compassionate society. Across the Atlantic in Springfield, Illinois, another tragedy unfolded, one that would reignite the flames of outrage over police brutality and racial injustice. Sonia Massey, a black mother of 2, was shot and killed by a police officer in her own home. The details revealed through body camera footage, were both shocking and tragically familiar.
Massey had called the police seeking help, believing an intruder was in her home. But instead of finding safety in the presence of law enforcement, she encountered fear, aggression, and ultimately deadly force. The officer, Sean Grayson, fired upon Massey as she reached for a pot of boiling water, claiming he felt threatened.
The footage sparked outrage and protests nationwide. The case became yet another tragic example of the systemic racism and implicit bias that permeates law enforcement in the United States and beyond. Massey's name was added to the ever-growing list of black individuals killed by police under questionable circumstances. Her death, a stark reminder that for many, the color of their skin is still perceived as a threat.
The protests that erupted in the wake of Massey's death were not just about one woman's life tragically cut short. They were about a system that has consistently failed to protect and serve communities of color. They were about the fear, the anger, and the exhaustion of living in a society where their lives are devalued and their humanity is questioned.
Section 3. Connecting the dots. Fear, demographics, and violence. The cases of Southport and Sonia Massey share a common thread: the interplay of fear, demographics, and violence.
Perpetrators of violence were driven by prejudice, fear of the other, and a sense of entitlement.
In Southport, far-right rioters, fueled by anti-immigrant sentiment, lashed out at the Muslim community.
The mosque attack was a calculated attempt to sow fear and division.
In Sonia Massey's case, the officers' actions reflected deep-seated biases against black individuals.
Systemic racism and negative stereotypes lead to disproportionate use of force against black and brown communities. Section 4. The illusion of control. The tragedies in Southport and Springfield highlight the illusion of control in human behavior. We crave order and security in an unpredictable world. Rapid change often triggers fear and a desire to cling to the familiar. This fear can lead to resistance to social progress and a yearning for a simpler past. Powerful forces are reshaping the global landscape. Resisting these changes is futile and counterproductive. Embracing change and working together builds a more equitable society.
The events in Southport, the tragic death of Sonia Massey, and countless other instances of violence and injustice serve as stark reminders of the fragility of peace and the ever-present potential for humanity to descend into chaos. Section 1. A crossroads of choice. The world is teetering on the edge of a precipice.
We find ourselves at a crossroads facing a choice that will determine the course of our future.
On one path lies the familiar but treacherous terrain of fear, division, and the pursuit of power at all costs.
This path, paved with the broken promises of nationalism, authoritarianism, and the scapegoating of the other, leads only to further conflict, suffering, and the erosion of our shared humanity.
It is a path that seeks to cling to a past that is no longer tenable, a past built on hierarchies of oppression and the illusion of control.
The alternative path, though less traveled and fraught with uncertainty, offers a glimmer of hope.
It is a path that demands courage, compassion, and a willingness to embrace the unknown.
It is a path that recognizes our interconnectedness, celebrates our diversity, and seeks to build a future where power is shared equitably and justice prevails for all.
The choice before us is not an easy one.
The forces of fear, division, and greed are powerful, and they will not relinquish their grip on power without a fight.
But the human spirit, when guided by hope, compassion, and a shared vision for a better future, has the power to overcome even the most daunting of challenges. Dawn of a new era. We are on the cusp of profound transformation and unprecedented opportunity.
Old systems of power built on exploitation and division are crumbling.
The world is awakening to the interconnectedness of all life and the need for a sustainable future.
The chaos we experience are birth pangs of a new world.
Like a caterpillar, we are transforming into something more beautiful and resilient.
This transformation will not be without challenges.
but the momentum is on the side of change.
Seeds of a just and equitable world are taking root.
The dawn of a new era is upon us.